the talk is adding anchor links to your static site. So the first part is what is a static site, and the last talk, basically the idea was the payment, keep it simple. So the idea of a static site is to keep it simple. Basically all that you do is you have a bunch of files, and then you run a build, and then you have your fantastic, super fast, beautiful website or blog or book ready to serve, ready to use. Even you can use live reload. So how does it look in practice? So usually you see a blog as text, and then you build it with some magic, and it's ready to serve. So let's try another example. Let's build a book. So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a small book, 110 chapters and 100 pages. And online you can get, in the World Classics repository, you get the text as 10 chapters, 10 files. So this is like chapter 1, and it begins story of the door. Chapter 2, search for Mr. Hyde, so it's on GitHub. So it's, and to turn this into a book using a static site compiler, it's very easy. You just pick a theme, which is ready to use design and layout and templates. So there's a theme called Classic Books. So that's the perfect fit. You just have to drop your text file in the chapters folder. Then you say Jekyll build, and off you go. You have a perfectly nice book. And if you think I'm making it up, what it builds is, it's called a single page book. So it's modern to build single page application, but you can also build single page book, because the book itself, it had a lot of chapters, but all, if you build it, it ends up as a single index HTML. And if you're even more minimalistic, you might even the style put into the HTML. But now, so there are actually two files. So there's the style and the index. And that's how it looks. And it's on GitHub. If you want, anybody wants to see it, try this one. So that's the chapter content automatically built, and then it goes on and on and on. You can read it free. So it's Dr. Jekyll themes built with Jekyll. So it's kind of meta, building the Jekyll novel with Jekyll. So static. What's static? So there's a lot of static. So static in the building, but good example, the heart of the civilization, books are static. So it's not really, some say books are dying, but actually static is the new dynamic. Magazine, newspapers. So anybody trivia quiz? Anybody knows Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? So it's static book. When was the last update? So ABC. So it's like the last update 2007, because it's static, it doesn't change. 80, 86, 90, 25, 80, 45. Any idea how old it is? When was it last changed? So it was last changed 80, 86. So that's fantastic. Last commit over 100 years. So the next, yeah. So the difference, static, so dynamic, static is a new dynamic. So they're big. Who rules the world? WordPress, they claim 25%. There's Facebook, but WordPress has 25% of the internet of the websites. They claim, well, let's say it's 20%. Drupal, Joomla, or whatever. PHP, no JavaScript. What happened? So, and on your live production site, it requires a database, it requires an application server, and of course a web server, Apache. And if you use a static site, you don't need a database, you don't need an application server, you don't even need a web server, you can just use a file service, S6 or whatever, or S3. So why static? So it's faster, simpler, more beautiful, prettier, because the designer has to work. You can do whatever you want. You have to know HTML, of course, and CSS, but your creativity, you have the full control. Use bootstrap material, super secure. Who is going to break into something that doesn't exist? You cannot break the database, you cannot break your PHP, no updates, no lost database connections, And if anybody breaks, you just check out your files, rebuild and upload, and you're done. So, for example, Obama was using it to collect money, so it's working. So he is president, or he was president. So it's a good case study, video old 4 years ago. So static is the new dynamic, it's fashionable. So there's always fashion, JavaScript is JavaScript, the new fashion, so it's very fun. But let's say it's the new, this is a posting from today on Twitter, and the joke is Emacs is going to, like if you need, they'll do everything. And now there is, for Emacs, there is a static site generator in this built-in on GitHub, open source. So any Vim users? So the question, of course, is anything in Vim, because Emacs is a better Vim.
VimWiki can do export from HTML.
But can it build static sites?
Yeah, VimWiki does
inside the...
Yeah,
so it's just kind of a joke.
we all know Vim is better.
And it's online, so the next, anybody know the Greatgatsby? So the question is, who has written the Greatgatsby and last update? So the answer is, it's Kyle Matthews, and it's 2015. It's the latest and greatest static site compiler in JavaScript using React and using Webpack. So open source, just 2-3 months old, fantastic. So now the question is static site JavaScript. So there are many. The big ones here, or CoffeeScript. So anybody, that would be the question, like who is using, anybody volunteering, like anybody using static, any Hexo, Metalsmith, Blacksmith, Harp, anybody using any of this? What are you using here? Chico? Hexo. Yeah, that's fantastic. It was started, a guy, because the number one is Chico in Ruby, and some people, I don't want to install Ruby, so he was building the same stuff. So this is like a Chico in Node.js. Pretty popular, 20,000 likes. Okay, so that was the first part. So the second is the, if you have a static site, like adding anchor links. Pretty easy topic. Basically it's just, if you want to link in your site to let's say to a heading or a paragraph, nothing new, you just add a fragment. So it's super simple. But to make it more sophisticated, if anybody knows GitHub.
No.
Let me show you. So GitHub, basically, that's why Jekyll is so popular, because it's basically built into every GitHub repo. Jekyll is built in. So if you don't add no Jekyll, it will run through Jekyll, static site building. And one example is if I zoom over any of the links, you will see they add anchors here, Hoover, and if I click it, I can link. So if anybody claims like I have this football JSON project, and then they tell me, what is the license? Like, send me 2 million, so I'm telling you. But the license is public domain, so the license is just like use it and whatever. But I can link. I click here. It has the link football JSON plus fragment license. And this nice Hoover. So if you want to build this and add it to your static site, it's super. So I have to switch back to that. Yeah. So how does it work? If you have to learn HTML. So sorry, the first stuff is HTML, not JavaScript, and it's super easy. Yeah. So that's how it looks. If I click license, it goes to the license. If you click automate, it goes to the automate section. And how to build it? So let's say you have the heading search for Mr. Hype. I just have to add an ID. Search for Mr. Hype, and I'm done. I don't need any JavaScript. Now I can use search for Mr. Hype. So super simple, no JavaScript needed. HTML is the better solution. Anyway, but if you try to add the hoovering permalink, then it gets more complex. So you add, after your search for Mr. Hype, inside the heading, you add a href, let's say the permanent marker and the link. And then if you want the next version 3 is you just want to show it if you mouse over and you don't want to display it every time. Then what is the solution? Again, the solution is not JavaScript, but it's CSS. Yeah, so you need just JavaScript, and basically all you do, the magic is hover, means mouse over. If you hover over the heading 2, the opacity is 1, which means it's visible. So opacity is means visibility, the not visibility, the difference. And so an animation, and if the normal state is opacity 0, which is not visible. So if you hover over it is visible, and then it shows you a tiny animation, and it's all done in CSS. But now JavaScript comes to the rescue. Imagine you have, that's the next version, imagine you have like a whole document, and you just not only one heading, you want to add heading 3 and your whole table of contents, and you always have to add, let's use font awesome for a nice little symbol for the hover over, and then you have to add href, iClass, so it's a lot of code. And if you use jQuery on page load, you just go over all H2s and you add the stuff. So that's where JavaScript comes in. So you get nice little anchor links. And of course, you're not the first one to build this. So some guy called David Brown, I think, he packaged up his JavaScript library. And so you just use the AnchorJS on GitHub. Super easy to use. So how can you use it? You include the AnchorJS script, or you get it from Node Package Manager. And then you say anchor add heading 1. And then it will add the anchor, the hoovers in your page for heading 1. If you say heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, so it's just like a selector. You can add it to paragraphs, to whatever. So it has some options. You want to place it left, right, visible on default, icon, class. So you can configure it, but everything is optional. So the default is hover. It only shows when you mouse over. The placement default is right, and the icon is. So here is how complex it can get. You have the options and then add story. So it's pretty easy to use. Yeah. So basically, that's it. So any question? Yeah.